Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Douglas Nemo and I'm so happy you are here with me. So the plan, like I said, is to get the foundational videos, which are 100 days to produce 100 videos to form the foundation of this channel. So yesterday was the intro video and today we're going to start with the foundation, and I'm going to share with you something that has really inspired me, something that really, the discovery changed my life, and it's something I called the 7 pillars of life. Actually, this was about 20 years ago, and that time I was in Germany, and 20 years ago I remember because that was the time that my dad passed. It's at 21 years ago, and that was around November 7th. So my dad died on November 7th and my son was born the next day on November 8th. So that's 21 years ago. And that time I was in Germany, traveling to Ghana to see my dad. My dad was sick, he was still alive. But when I was in the plane, that's when he passed. So when I arrived in Ghana, my dad had passed. So it's my brother came, met me at the bus station, the coach station, and he took me home and didn't say anything about my dad's passing. So just when we were about to reach home, he just broke the news to me before reaching home. So he parked the car and told me dad passed. It was extremely tough because I was coming with the expectation that things were going to be fine. So around that time, I went to that was the time that I had built, reconnect, my spiritual connection, that reconnect to my Lord. So spiritually I was very strong, and that was the pillar that held me. So around that time too, I was in the music business in Germany. I had a record shop, and as we all know how the music business went down with, CDs, with vinyl. People were not buying CDs anymore because of the internet. People were just like burning CDs. So I had this record shop, like a CD shop, where we were selling CDs and vinyl, and all of a sudden everything came crashing down. So you feel like a failure. So I felt like a failure. I felt like I've lost everything, like debt, because you use banks money to invest in your business, and I didn't take anything out for myself. I was just reinvesting, build the business, because the plan was to build a record company in Ghana. And that time we had one artist in Ghana as well that we were working with. His name was Kwade, very popular in Ghana at the time. And so I was just investing the money back, and all of a sudden you see everything come crashing down. So that was very hard. And then when you come to that situation where you feel like you are a failure in your life, and then your mind your mind goes back home, and you see your friends doing well, and you've lost everything. So that thing was really worrying me. I felt sometimes very down. That was before I before I got reconnected back to God. Because there was a time that I was not even, my beliefs went through the roof, all over the place. I didn't have that connection again. My spiritual pillar was very weak at the time. I'll come to the pillars so you understand. So, and that was because at that time things were happening in my life. My dad had this stroke, and he couldn't speak for 2 good years before he passed. And I remember one time trying to speak to him, and he was forcing to say something. You could just hear, he couldn't say anything, and that was very, very hard. So that time I remember I had my record shop, I had an office there. I would just um, close from work, and then I would just be smoking my cigarettes. I could smoke like a packet of cigarettes a day. I would drink. Like I lost like control like over myself, like who am I, like that confidence I used to have. When you see business is failing, like a family. My dad was prior to having a stroke, he had an accident that really, I think that maybe later caused a stroke. Somebody hit his car. What saved him was his seatbelt, and later he lost his memory, and that was the time that I came to Ghana to visit him. So when I went back, I couldn't make it again, and then he passed. So all these things, we all we go through these things in life. And I remember around that time that my dad was sick when he had a stroke. My sister in the US also lost her only boy, lost her son who was 6 months at the time. So my sister had a boy, and he was at a hospital working. She's a nurse, so she was at the hospital working. And then the boy, he was with the dad, and the dad fed him, and they went back to bed, and then woke up, and the boy was dead. So when my other sister called me, it was, I really like broke down. So when my sister came from work, police were at the place, trying to figure out what had happened. And later, it was, they call it sudden infant's death. So all these things, plus my dad passing, my dad like stroke, and all these things really like was weighing down on me. So all I could do was like I would just finish work, and the business was failing as well. And I would just sit down in my office after work and just, food was not even something that, you would think of. And that was, like I said, when the spiritual pillar was not strong. So there was nothing, like there was no anchor to hold on to, because it was like, because a lot of things were happening in my life, and you think, oh, God is not there, or something like that. And my other sister, which is my cousin Lilia, she also lost a son, very young, like 3. And that time that I came to see my dad, he was always with my dad. And when he passed, coupled with my sister Francisca's son in the US, and my dad's situation in my failing business, you can imagine the kind of mental state I was in. Like, I would show up to work, but I was like depressed. Like, when customers are there, you are fine. But then you realize that no, things are not, working like you want to have in your life. So that was when, after some time, like I got reconnected back to my God. And before that, it had a toll on the family as well, because I was trying to escape these things, and because I used to be a DJ at the time, I would spend more time like in the club playing and trying to numb all this pain that I was going through with maybe alcohol, with cigarettes and stuff. And then my wife said, no, this is not the man that I married. This is not Douglas. She gave me all the support, but then it was very difficult. So at the time she said, no, this is, we need to talk. So basically, I left home like, she said, no, you have to change. You have to come to yourself. So I left home. I rented a place in Dortmund like 3 months on my own, and that was tough because she says, no, this is not the guy I married, this is not the Douglas that I know. So I left home, I rented a place, I closed my shop and put all the records there, you know, and I was just about 15-20 minutes drive from my family, and I was on my own. I was on my own for 3 months, and I would just, you know, go out to club, like as a DJ, play my music. Fridays, go out with friends, like just trying to numb the pain of what was happening. Like I was depressed, but it was not something that I knew inside something was not working. So one day I was sitting in my room alone, my new apartment. It was like a 2-bed apartment. I was sitting there alone, and then I looked at my life. I said, no, this is not the person. This is not me now. I don't want this, like smoking cigarette, like a packet a day. And I tried a couple of times to stop. It was not working. So I came to that, I said, no, this is not me. Here am I, like alone in my room, and my family is there. And it pained me. And then I remembered one thing. I remember the kind of relationship I used to have with God, and how that relationship like deteriorated. So over time, so what I did was, you know, I remembered this story in the Bible. You know that lady, that woman with the issue of blood. Yes. She said, if only I could touch the hem of his garment, I would be healed. So that popped up in my head, and tears started, you know, rolling down. And I went on my knees, and I surrendered everything to God. I surrendered everything to God. And tears started rolling down. And then, in that moment, I felt like weight lifted off my shoulders. So I called my wife, I'm coming back home. And she saw, like in my voice, that yes, a change has taken place. So the following day, I started packing my stuff, and I went back to my family. And it was a beautiful reunion. And at once, there was no thirst for cigarettes. That's when I quit smoking. Even that time, like there was like even no alcohol for 3 years. And even like DJ work, like everything like was off. And that was the time that when I got reconnected, that's when I planned to go back I planned to go to Ghana to visit my dad. So on my way, the first time I missed the flight. So the second time, that's when I was going, that was when this thought came to my mind. What can separate me from the love of God? And that kept popping. And I'm now, like looking back, I'm sure that was the moment that like my dad died. So like, can the death of my dad separate me from the love of God? And I said, when that came, I said, nothing can separate me from the love of God. Because it's like the prodigal son, like now, finding like my faith again. And that's when I realized that, yes, no matter what you do in life, you need that anchor. You need that pillar. Nothing, I mean, there will be moments in your life that the only person or the only thing that you need or the pillar that can support you or can hold you is God Almighty. And so when I came to Ghana, when I landed in Ghana, I knew, and I didn't know my dad was dead. And my brother finally broke the news, and then we were just like 2 minutes away drive from home. And the gate opened and my mom came, and we'd crying, and the whole house, the whole family, and it was very, 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 very hard. But I thank God that that time I was reconnected back to my faith again, because I think I would have smoked like 2 packets of cigarette that day. But I was calm. It was painful, but I was calm. And I'm the firstborn. So I remember I started playing like a lot of Don Moen song. I am the God that healeth thee, and some popular Don Moen songs. I will play it over and over and over and over. And that really consoled myself and the family. So when everything was over, when everything was over, like the funeral and stuff, I went to, I think that was yes, when everything was over, yeah. I went to the bookshop. Remember I told you about how everything crumbled, like my business, everything, and you feel like you are a failure. Because you always look at, you hear, this friend, your friend is doing this one is doing this. I mean, the people that you travel to Europe with, this one is buying a house, this one is, and you feel like you've lost everything. Then I went to, but I always felt like, especially when I was reconnected back to the family, I felt like, no, I can't be a failure. Some other things are working well in your life. I have a beautiful family, beautiful wife, beautiful children. Although like business side and the finance side, things were not where it should be. I remember now, I said, no. I said, no, this can't be all. So I always had the feeling, no, there must be something. I mean, success must not only be tied to like your finances or your like how society sees success. Like society we use like the financial life mostly as the metric for success. And when you're not there, you think you are a failure. So I knew deep within me that can't be, because I knew some other areas things were working very well. Like I said, family. So I went to a bookshop called Challenge Bookshop. It's a Christian bookshop. And I was just looking there, like everywhere I go, when I see bookshops, I just go in and I buy books. I love buying books, reading books. So I went there looking at the books, and I saw this book. It's called Success God's Way from Charles Stanley. So I was reading through this book, and I came across the chapter where he talked about whole person prosperity. So he talked about, let me read this. He says, the success or the prosperity that God has for you is always a whole person prosperity. He says, not again in 3 John 2, that the prayer of John was that the people would prosper in all things, their material, social, natural, financial, outer lives, just as they would prosper in their personal health and spiritual lives. The prosperity he desired for them covered their entire lives. It was prosperity that might be described as wholesome in action. So he went further and said, take inventory of your life today. Ask yourself, where am I in my spiritual life, in my spiritual walk? Where am I in my finances? Where am I in my vocation? Where am I in my service to the Lord? Where am I in my health? Where am I in my relationship with other people, including my family, my friends, and those with whom I'm involved at church and at work? So if you look at it, these are like 7 areas. So he's the first person. This book was like taught me about like the areas in our life that I always thought something there. Financial life cannot be the only like metric or to judge a person's success or to use to measure how far you've progressed in life. I knew there were some other areas. Your connection to God, your spiritual life, you know, your health and other things. But I've not heard it anywhere, and I couldn't, you know, like had the validation. So this book gave me the validation of what I was thinking already. But then it talked about like 6 areas, like spiritual, finance, vocation, service to the Lord, or let's say service to the Lord. I would put service to the Lord to spiritual. So basically it talked about like 5 areas: spiritual, finance, vocation, health, and let's say relationship. But he numbered like it was like 6. So I said at the time, I said, no, there must be more to this. And that's when I started searching. That's when I started searching for the number 7. Because the number 7 is a spiritual number. It's like complete. Look at it, 7 days of the week. Throughout the Bible, the number 7 stands for like completion. So when I read about the 6, or let's say the 5 that were the book, I said, no, there must be other areas. I was looking for the number 7, like 7. And I called it like 7 pillars. And that's when I discovered the 7 pillars. So I'm going to continue in the next video, and that's when I'm going to start. I'll break down the 7 pillars and how the discovery of the 7 pillars really helped me like restore me and give me the confidence that even though some areas in life are not going to go like successful, the other areas where I was successful. And the beauty about it is how he taught about whole person prosperity. You know, whole person prosperity. It says how it says God has for you the prosperity God, the success or the prosperity that God has for you is always a whole person prosperity. So this was very, very refreshing. It was extremely refreshing. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about the 7 pillars of life and the discovery that I made and what the 2 other areas are. So see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, and share with friends and family. Subscribe if you've not done already. Thanks. Bye. You heard a story?